thoughts? Second round, you get to play at home against the team you've seen. What are your thoughts on the game Friday?
I don't know if it's always the best thing to face someone you've played already, but in the end of the day, we're excited where we're at to be able to host. It's always an advantage. I think our team has improved tremendously over the season, so I think we're a different team than the last time we did face Notre Dame, and I'm sure they are as well. So I think it will be an excellent game. They've proven themselves in a very difficult conference, so we've got to be prepared, and we've done the same in the SEC. So I think it will be a great showcase for women's soccer, and thrilled again to be at home hosting them again.
It's been a while since this team gave up a goal. How much confidence have they gotten riding the defense? Obviously you're scoring, but the defense has hit another level as you make this run.
I think the defense has been tremendous. You don't really think about maybe the fact that we haven't given up goals since a certain time. I can't even tell you when that was. All I know is we put ourselves in position to win games. I know our defense has had a lot of credit recently for especially Michaela breaking records with shutouts, so I do keep track a little more than usual. But going into games, it's just we had to do our jobs. We know it's difficult to hold teams scoreless, especially against these teams in these rounds. They're here for a reason because they've found ways to win all year. So we need to continue to put up our defensive efforts like we have all season, but we also got to find the back of the net on our end. And I think that's where we rely on our defense to limit attacks by teams and make sure we find the other end, which we've done very well recently, winning a championship and winning the first round.
Nice, you got some insurance goals in the first round. What do you guys need to do, perhaps, to give yourself more opportunities on offense to score more than one? Not just score, but score more than one.
Soccer is not a game of a ton of goals. I think you'll see some lopsided matches, but really when it comes down to it, especially at this time of the year, many times it's going to be one-goal victories, and we know that's why it's such a slim margin, and that's why it's so crucial to have a good defense. You can give yourself a chance to get that goal. One or two, and obviously more than that is nice, but you're just happy to find the net and put yourself in position to win the game. And at the end of the day, it's obviously score more than the other team. If we can shut out opponents like we have been and get the one goal, well, at the end of the day, we move on, and that's what it's all about. You'll see teams advance in this tournament where they don't score a goal at all and they have to go to penalty kicks, and we've already seen that. So we want to finish off a team during regulation and find the back of the net, but if we don't, we're confident in keeping teams to minimal goals and finding a way to advance.
You mentioned playing a team twice. How much time is dedicated to watching that game and scouting from that game and compared to more recent film on them?
Well, I think you have to look at what was successful against the team. We look at what they have, their personnel. They've changed some players and formations through the season, so we're going to study that. So you do look at some more recent games for sure, but you also want to look at what they tried to do against you. They tried to do against opponents since then, just like they will be watching for us as well. But obviously playing them, you have a little bit more familiarity and something to draw upon a bit better than someone you haven't faced yet.
Anna and Grace, with their similar backgrounds, how does that help with chemistry and those two playing off of one another and next to each other on the field on your back line?
That's, I think, a huge advantage for Anna to come in here and be able to play alongside Grace, and they made a great tandem, and we knew that they would coming in. There's a lot of expectations put on them and our defense in general, but the two of them have done a great job to live up to those expectations and also really build off of each other and get more comfortable playing together throughout the season. So that's what I think. That's one of the pieces we've improved upon all season. Again, them two to really learn how to play against with each other, and then they will tell you just as like anyone, they credit everyone around them. Jaleesa that sits in front of them does a lot that limits them even having to step out. So it's a complete team effort, and they've done a great job to work together, to communicate, to lead the defense, and the experience between the two of them. Not just in the college level, but the international level is something that we have used to our advantage and has been successful so far.
How much of a recruiting pitch could Grace give there when Anna was coming here?
Grace was a big part of why Anna was able to look here. She knew we had unfortunately lost Jackie Schaefer last year to injuries, so she knew we were at a point where I had to look at someone to fill her shoes. And so Grace, did know about Anna's situation, wanted to be a central defender, so it just worked out. So we're thankful that it did.
Speaking of filling shoes, what in Sutton's skill set has allowed her to come in and be so successful?
Well, Sutton, last year as a freshman, she came in and showed us some things we saw in the recruiting process, where she's so good on the ball, she's composed, can do things out of the back that we want to see in our defenders, where they get forward, they can serve a good ball, they can keep it for us. We expect the players in the back to build the game just as much as the midfield, the attackers. So having her possess and control and not get flustered in the back's a big piece of us trying to keep the ball. So she's done a great job for us there, and then the other side is keeping defenders using the defensive side of the ball and keeping players out of the attack. And she's done a good job to step, to tackle when needed, win balls in the air, and she obviously showed what she can do on the offensive end too at the SEC tournament, scoring a big goal for us in the 18. So those are pieces that she's brought to the table and done a great job.
Can you talk a little bit more about your confidence in Jalissa? I mean, when you go in the 5-back, can you just kind of talk about the confidence you have in her dropping
Talk to her,
back?
but she's right there.
Talk about her,
I'm just
her
kidding.
dropping back in the center back role.
Yeah, no. JY is easy to talk about. She's been tremendous for us. I kind of joke with her a lot about, I'm sorry, I can't take you off the field. She's become very valuable. So there are games when it's pretty tiring. She does a lot of work, but we are that much more solid when she's there. She does drop in and cover when needed. She's a big part of our distribution, linking our defense to our attack, and stopping a lot of what teams are trying to do. So it's great to have her in the middle, and so you see her minutes because of that. We definitely try to keep her in there.
And then you kind of mentioned the offense. You mentioned kind of she's the distributor. Talk a little bit about what you've seen from her on free kicks this year and how she's kind of taken over that role.
Well, she's very capable of hitting a great free kick, set piece, service. We work on those in training, and she's stepped up and probably been the most consistent at that. And she's scored off some and puts the ball in an area where we need it. So she's kept the job and does a great job when we have those opportunities. She's asked to do it.
Being here at home, how big of a factor is it going to be for you guys to get some rest? I mean, obviously being familiar, but also not being on the road and traveling and the wear and tear associated just with a little bit of that, and then for hours, for minutes for her as well.
Yes, that's a big thing. I mean, the one thing you have to deal with at this time of year is class. So our players are still trying to balance that, where other teams are getting ready to play, and we've got kids in class on Friday all day. So, that's something that they have to juggle. But they'd rather take that than being on the road and not in their own rooms and getting the meal they want. And so they enjoy being at home and playing on this field. So you take that over anything. I think us also missing class for the SEC tournament has actually been helpful to be here again, and gives them a little less stress, trying to make up some class time. So all that combined, I think is an advantage for us to be at home, and we hopefully will take advantage of that throughout this weekend.